Summer routines live or die by how easy they are. And honestly, if something takes too much effort, I'm out. That's why Groons is my go-to. It's my one daily pack of gummies covering my greens, vitamins, and minerals. Plus, it has 6 grams of prebiotic fiber, which is more than 2 cups of broccoli. No mixing powders, no giant pills, no hassle. I just rip open the pack and I'm done. They taste good and they make it easy to stay on top of my health, even when life gets busy. Save up to 52% with the code PODCAST at Groons.co. That's code PODCAST at GRUNS.co.
Hi, everybody. This is Dawn Mitchell, and welcome to Dawn of Sports. Today, we are going to talk some people off the ledge. Maybe what we talk about, we might push some over. Of course, we're talking Vikings. Also, Minnesota Aurora has a brand new head coach, everyone. So lots of things going on the scene. While they're still winning without Kirill Kaprizov, Timberwolves are trying to find their way, and gold medal for World Junior. So lots to talk about coming up.
Yes, it's Dawn of Sports. This is our general sports talk show at talknorth.com that does emphasize strong women whenever we can, although we don't. We also talk a lot of Vikings because Dawn is such a big part of the Vikings media ecosphere. And we are brought to you by Aquarius Home Services Studios. And we want to thank our sponsors, Rudy Luther Toyota, Minnesota Masonic Charities, and my favorite, Natrium, natrium.com. All right, Dawn, let's get, we have to talk Vikings. We are going to have Amy Hockert on later on, your friend from Fox 9, talk about her new show and talk about the where Viking fans are right now. And that'll be a fun conversation. Let's ask you. You and I were both in Detroit. What was your takeaway when you got on a plane to come back home on Monday? What were you thinking about this squad?
You know, I was thinking it wasn't the great time to kind of have a game like that. You know, you want to go into the postseason, and regardless of what was on the line, you know, everything was on the line in terms of seeding and the crown and all of that. You don't want to go into the playoffs with a game like that. So I was thinking, was this game too much? Was the buildup too much? I don't think the Lions were too much for them. I think they had a better game. I think Jahmyr Gibbs was amazing. I also think going into it, I don't know, from my perspective, I was the only one that didn't think that, yes, okay, they had a lot of injuries, but I didn't write off the Detroit defense. But they also played better than I thought they were going to play. And I think that's the key. You can't just look, whether you're, you know, a journalist or a fan, and just be like, okay, they're decimated with injuries, we're going to go in and crush them. That is not the case. Historically, and I know teams are different every year, but these two teams play each other so close. You know, they lost by 2 beforehand. So I really, until they started, there was this point, and I even tweeted it out, Jim, where I said, this could get ugly quick. I just had that feeling. It was still a close game, but if the Vikings defense just got tired because they were trying to slow them down, you know, and that's where I thought the tipping point was, and that's exactly where it happened. But I don't think that they were amazingly outmatched or outclassed or any of this stuff that people are throwing out, these superlatives, but they were definitely outplayed for sure. And they just have to regroup and find out what they did wrong. And I know that they say that all the time, look at the tape and regroup, but I don't know if Sam Darnold is hurting more than we think. But they better get that offense together is what I'm thinking. I saw the offense at the beginning of the season is what I saw again. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I just thought that Darnold had people wide open for touchdowns and missed them.
Yeah.
And, you know, you go from, he had 28 possible points and he ends up with, out of those situations, I don't know, depending on how you look at it, either 0 or 3. That's the game. You know, you score in those situations. They had a chance to go up like 24-7, 28-7. And instead, they let the Lions hang around, and the Lions offense finally got it rolling because the Lions offense is fantastic. You got to make the plays when they're available to you. When you miss them, it's gonna cost you down the road.
And you know, there was 2 different schools of thoughts early on in the game. When they're in the red zone, you go for the easy 3. That's what I think. You go for the easy 3. I think we left 6 points on the table when it was, you know, 4th down and they were shut out, when you could have had an easy layup of a kick. I know people want to match the going forward on 4th and 1 because Dan Campbell gambles. Let's gamble. I'm like, I think you take the 3 points to get within 1. You take you just kind of play systematically that way. But I am not a head coach in the NFL. But I was like, I don't know. I would have taken those easy points. Would you have?
No, I thought they were going to have to score touchdowns to win. I thought they had to get to 30 minimum to win that game, and I just didn't think they were going to get there kicking field goals.
I think, yes, you got to score touchdowns to win, but if you're in a situation where you can pull it to within 1 rather than still be down 3, it was early in the game. I don't know. My mindset is if it's early in the game, you don't take those risks until you have to.
Well, I will say this, now that we know Sam Darnold was going to play, now that I know Sam Darnold was going to throw the ball 10 feet over everybody's head, I'd kick every time.
Exactly. Yeah, some people were texting me like his hands are taped and his fingers are taped. And he said, and sometimes quarterbacks, I said sometimes quarterbacks tape their fingers. There's nothing that indicates that he was injured that way. He was just throwing them too high and maybe too amped up for it. And Hawkinson, I know that there's one that it was short, but if they're near your hands, I think you got to catch them.
Well, I think that's a really good point. Hawkinson is one of their highest paid players. He's one of their most important players. He came off the injured list and played well in his first game out. He has not been the same guy this year. And I'm not blaming him. I think when you see an established player not play to his capabilities, it's usually an injury. So I just don't think he's 100%. There are 2 or 3 balls that were not easy catches that he usually makes. He did not make in a game like that. That's gonna hurt.
Yeah, absolutely. So going forward to LA, when we're in the locker room, we're talking to them about how quickly do you shake it off. I thought it was interesting. Some of the guys were like, no, I let this sit. I let this sit for at least 24 hours. And it's not the 24-hour rule. I want this to hurt so that I can be fully motivated. Where Justin Jefferson was like, I forget about it quick. So either way, right by now, today's their off day. This is Tuesday. Everyone has to forget about it by come Wednesday. Yes. But it was interesting how some just really wanted to feel the sting of, everything that they lost of the night.
Yeah. I think different players process this stuff differently and and also sometimes depends on the side of the ball. Defensive players can really use anger to their benefit. Offensive players, you got to be cool, So offensive players, you can't carry around anger. You can't make everything up, with one big hit. So I just think different mindsets, different players, different sides of the ball. I think the most important thing is matchups. They're now going to play a Rams team with a veteran quarterback. You can't spook him. He handles the blitz well. He gets the ball out of his hand quickly. He has receivers who run extremely well after the catch. He's got a running back who can beat you both ways. They have a championship level coach. They have a defense that when Aaron Donald retired, that defense, people thought that defense was going to be terrible, and they are very good. They've rebuilt it very quickly. They don't have the home field advantage of Detroit or Minnesota or Philadelphia has, but they're playing at home. They rested people in week 18. I think this is the worst possible matchup they could have had in the first round.
Yeah. And can we backtrack really quickly when you talk about the home field advantage? Just as a journalist, and I'm not talking about Vikings fans versus whatever fans. For me, Jim, you were there in Detroit, same as I was, when you're like, where is everybody? Like where are they? And then all you can hear is you could hear pin drop or fire milling, right? And just to see how Dan Campbell has turned that whole program in Detroit around. For me on the outside, just as an NFL purist and a journalist, I was so happy for that town.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I know fans are gonna be like, "Oh, you're a sympathizer." And like, no, I'm unbiased. And for me, for the game and for that town and how Detroit as a city has bounced back, and now how this program has, to see watching their local news, and there's a baker who's doing a life-size cake of St. Brown on his head, and the whole city is stopping by to take pictures. And just to see all that, I was so happy for Detroit as a city and as an organization. Regardless, this is when the game was starting, and they're trotting out all their heroes to get the crowd amped up. They're doing all that. I was really happy for that town. How about you?
I agree. And by the way, I wanted to let all of our listeners know we appreciate you listening to TalkNorth.com. Alex Haugen's our producer today. Also, the best way to listen to this show or any show at our network, and we've got the best sports lineup in town. Subscribe to your favorite podcast app. It's free. It's the easiest way to listen. Thanks to all of our sponsors and our listeners. We do appreciate it. I had relatives who lived in Troy, which is out by the old Silverdome. I had people who I was related to people who worked at the old Ford plant. I've been covering games in Detroit since 1990, and I think Detroit should be a great American city. And I think it again is becoming a great American city. The home of Motown, the home of so many great things, and to see that franchise, that woebegone. I mean, Viking fans like to pretend that they have it worst, right? No, the Lions have never been to a Super Bowl. Okay. Right. To see that place turn it around and have that kind of support and to generate that kind of atmosphere, that's as good as it gets in sports.
Exactly. So just on the outside looking in, not taking sides or anyway, I was like, wow, I'm so happy for Detroit. Now, after the game, I knew we would have to deal with, okay, we got to go into this locker room and figure out, first of all, the Vikings locker room is so classy. Even though they lost a game like that and they were heartbroken and, they were angry and whatever, they were so respectful. So it's nice to have that just professionally as well, just to throw that out there. Yes. But yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah. And listen, Vikings are in the playoffs. I think the Rams-Vikings game is going to be highly entertaining. People should watch this often and try to enjoy that game. I think it's going to be a blast. Let's get to a couple of other things here. We're going to get to some other sports. Minnesota Aurora. We have some news on Minnesota Aurora.
Yeah, today they announced that Jen Larrick is going to return to the organization, but she's going to return as head coach. So they said they're going to build on this foundation that they built over the past 3 seasons. And they have a quote saying, "We're extremely excited to welcome back Jen Larrick into the Aurora organization. And she was an integral part of our on-field success in their first 2 seasons as an assistant coach. And she's going to bring her skills and talents to the Aurora for our 4th season." So, kind of recapturing that glory. Last year was a bit of a down year, but I still think they had so many players, Jim, that were so great that went to play pro or went on to better things. And that's what you get with a pre-professional team. Part of your success means some of your women are going to leave to other things. So I'm kind of excited for them that they're going to have Larrick back in the fold. So, and they also have an interim president, Allie Schmidt, by the way. So we want to congratulate her as well. So there are changes in the organization, but usually at this level, it means the changes are good because they're finding success. And I know that seems like, talking out of both sides of my mouth, but that's what happens at that level, right?
Minnesota Aurora is still one of the best stories in the country. It's really cool to see them send people off to professional ranks. It's also cool to see that they're getting to a point now where they were just born and are already bringing people back to the organization. It's a cool thing. Listen, you and I are unabashed supporters of women's sports, and the Minnesota Aurora is it's the best example of a grassroots women's sports organization.
And if many of you out there are saying, well, I don't know if I've ever heard of Jen Larrick, you probably have. So not only was she a D1 soccer player, she started off at the University of Florida, but then she came here to Minnesota. So and then she went on to play pro at Cardiff Metropolitan University over in the UK. And then she went and played in New Zealand. So she, for you Minnesotans, is one of us. Coming back to the fold and back to the Aurora. So she knows what she's coming back to and what to build on. So I'm looking forward to good things.
Absolutely. We have our conversation with Amy Hockert coming up. Anything else you want to get to before we talk to Amy?
Well, I was wondering, Jim, because people were asking me, do you have an FTG?
An FTG? That's a really good question. Honestly, I hadn't thought about it.
Me neither. I think we're starting up 2025 very nicely.
We're way too nice. So I can change that though. Nice. I can change that in an instant. I usually have an FTG. I would say that, okay, I'm not going to, it's not technically an FTG. It doesn't really fit the acronym, but I will say this. I've been watching some men's college basketball.
Okay.
And usually when I watch a men's college basketball game, I'm watching it before, after, or while watching the NBA. I don't know why anybody watches men's college basketball until the tournament anymore. I really don't. it's an awful product. You watch the NBA, you see guys hitting off balance, sidestep, 25 footers with a hand in their face like it's nothing. The skill level of the NBA has never been higher. And then you watch men's college basketball and you go, okay, he's struggling to make an open 10-footer. It's just like and listen, there are good teams, of course, but like Purdue plays the Gophers. Purdue's ranked 20th in the country, and I watch them play and I go, if that's the 20th best team in the country, there are not many good teams in the country. I just think men's college basketball is really hurting right now. Women's college basketball is on the rise. It's a great sport. The NBA is incredible. I think men's college basketball is really in trouble.
Well, and a shout out to the Gopher women's basketball team. I know that we had Dawn Plitzowite on, but they are still soaring. So they're going to be the team to watch when it comes to hoops for women's sports, I think. So keep an eye out for them. Well, I have an FTG, but it's more the fantastic those guys.
Okay.
I'm going positive of the FTG. So and I've mentioned this on the program before about they call me Aunt Dawn, or Auntie Dawn is, depends on if you got the New England accent or the aunt or the aunt. But my two nephews, I'm so proud, playing the NBA, as we know, but for the first time, Cam Spencer and Pat Spencer not only played each other on the court, because sometimes, they don't get into the game, or they're I know Pat was playing a G League and whatnot. Cam did too. When the Memphis Grizzlies faced the Golden State Warriors, Cam and Pat were not only on the court at the same time, they had to guard each other.
That's great.
It was hilarious watching them kind of like touch the shoulder and try to box each other out and whatnot. And so it was awesome for me just to know the path, know these guys since they were kids, know the path, their dreams, and to see them do the jersey swap at the end of the game. Now, I was en route to Detroit, so I couldn't be at the game out west in San Francisco, but I just think there's so many, you could say what you want about men's college basketball, but there are those players that still fight and grind. It's not just the elite that get to the league. There are still those players that work their tail off, go over to Europe, come back to the G League, just show up day in and day out. And I'm just saying that just watching them as players, and also a little biased and proud, knowing them since they were little. But that was kind of an awesome moment. You don't get many of those in sports to begin with, let alone with, I say kids, they're men now that So FTG for Cam Spencer and Pat Spencer. That was awesome.
That's fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, let's get to our conversation with Amy. First, I want to let you know that we're brought to you by the Aquarius Home Services Studio, but I also want to thank longtime sponsor, longtime supporter of women's sports, Rudy Luther Toyota.
Ready for a women-forward car dealership? Rudy Luther Toyota empowers their many women on staff in sales, management, and service. Whether you are looking for a new Toyota or pre-owned vehicle, Rudy Luther Toyota has something for everyone. Every vehicle comes with a Luther Advantage. 10 cents off fuel and car wash discounts at holiday stations, Luther Advantage warranty, and 5-day return policy on pre-owned vehicles. Located just 5 minutes west of downtown Minneapolis, off 394 and General Mills Boulevard. And they're also hiring. Want to join the team but don't know where to start? Visit rudyluthertoyota.com today.
Thanks also to a great Minnesota company, Minnesota Masonic Charities.
When people think of the Freemasons, they often think of secret handshakes and unusual hats, and of course, the pancake breakfast. Minnesota Masonic Charities would prefer that you think about the work that they do right here in our community. Places like the Masonic Cancer Center at the University of Minnesota, or the Masonic Children's Hospital and the Masonic Home in Bloomington. They are just a few examples of the important work that the Freemasons support here in Minnesota. As part of the largest fraternal organization in the world, Masons have consistently answered the call when it comes to charitable needs. I am happy that Minnesota Masonic Charities has chosen Minnesota Bound and this podcast as a place to help spread the word. We look forward to learning so much more about their many programs here in the weeks to come.
Now I'm going to tell you more about Natrium, natrium.com, the Natrium and Wildflower shops. There's one near you. If you live anywhere in the metro area, I've told you about the fact that I use Natrium products for sleep aids. My wife uses them as well. I've also had like a bum finger lately, and I've had sore legs. And so I started using some of the Natrium balms and creams, the CBD balms and creams. They're topical, and you just put them on the sore body part, and I'm amazed at how quickly they work. They work really quickly. They work really well, and it's just so easy. You know, you're not taking something and hoping that over the next 8 hours it's going to kick in. You put it on, it actually makes a difference right away. And so I would go, as I always say, go to a Natrium or a Wildflower shop, talk to the sales executives there, and have them guide you to the right product, the right ingredients, the right dosages for what you're looking for. But whether it's a sore finger, arthritis, sore joints, headaches, inability to sleep, stress, or if you just want to have fun, they can find something for you. So check out everything at natrium.com, and then go to a Natrium or a Wildflower shop and check out their products.
So, Jim, are we going to have to put you on the IR? Like, what finger is it? Were you pointing at someone? Were you thumbs upping too much? You know, was it another finger?
You're going to be shocked, but it's a middle finger, and I'm not saying it's overusage. It's a coincidence. It's a coincidence. Right. It's my middle finger.
Right.
Of course, you're from the East Coast. You cannot go through an intersection on the East Coast without seeing a middle finger.
Or, you know, honking, like it's a language.
Yeah.
You know, I learned when I first moved and went to Chicago, they're like, why did you just beep? I go, oh, I was telling the person they could go, like a beep beep, like a friendly one. Like, yeah, we don't do that here. You will get shot. This was years ago. Chicago, don't come at me. But that's what my friends from Chicago said. No, you don't do that. So I've learned that you don't do that. But back east, it's like if you get flipped, I got flipped off by a woman in her 80s.
Oh, you gotta like
one
that.
of those Hallmark cards, you know, the lady in the robe, like she looks exactly like that. And I just started laughing. You know, she cut me off, and I just did a little toot toot, like, go ahead, you can go. And I just see, like, I saw the top of her head, and then I saw her hand come up, like right under her rearview mirror, give me the finger, and I had to pull over. I was laughing so hard.
That's fantastic.
That's how it rolls.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love the East Coast. It's so good. All right.
Well, on that note, Jim, that's so awesome. Just take care of that finger, will you?
I'll be okay.
And
I guarantee I'll be okay.
We need you. We need you ready off the IR for LA.
I'm just old.
I'll send you that dual stuff they have out now, the Tylenol and the Motrin, or, you know, they have it dual mix now.
But, you know, that's the thing. I'd rather. I'd rather go with the Natrium stuff, because it's not just an over-counter drug that's supposed to be for everything. Natrium, you actually get stuff that it goes right on. It works exactly where you want it to work.
Hey, maybe that's what that old lady was on. That's why, like, she just kind of did that slow roll of the hand right up there. It wasn't an emphatic one. It was just like the slow, like,
she's just trying to show a sign of life. That's all.
Signs of life.
All right, let's get to our conversation with Amy Hockert, friend of the program. And thanks everyone for listening.
Well, as promised, we have Amy Hockert with us, one of my dear friends, also a colleague over at Fox 9. But if you follow her on social media, your heart went along with her this whole ride through Detroit. Amy, thanks for joining us really quickly here. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. How are you guys?
Oh, you know, Jim and I, we're surviving because we do this, but so we're not on the fan side of it. And when I watch you on Twitter and you're just kind of like hyperventilating, or you're sad, or you're on the hunt for Parker Romo's Vikings package, you're cracking me up.
I know there's been a lot that's been going on this week, you guys. It's been nuts. The lead up to the Vikings Lions game was, you know, as you know, it was Super Bowl-esque. I mean, it was just like NFC Championship kind of caliber game, and so there was just so much hype. And then of course the game happened, and I don't think anybody really saw that coming. I think everybody I saw or listened to thought it was going to be super close. And I don't know who that team was. It was really hard to watch.
I know, and when you say that, I don't know who that team was. That seems to be the words echoing all week, because people are saying that. Oh, I told you so. Like, it, you know, for me, if I were a fan, I'd be like, okay, we got that out of the way. What is the pulse? Because, you know, Jim and I are like, okay, we're just going to go and cover. We saw what we saw. Darnold had a bad game. You know, the Lions were up for it. That Gibbs had an out of his mind game. But from your perspective, and you're also in media, so you're savvy about it. Are you glad they got it out of the way, or are you like on the edge of your seat, giving up, biting your nails? What's the tune there for you?
Well, I think both of you have covered sports long enough in this market to know that there's that group of fans who's always just going to be the doomsday. Oh, I knew it. We're never gonna. And that's okay. That's where some people need to live. And then you don't want to be a homer either and be like, oh, it's okay. We're just so lucky to be here, and ignore issues that might be there. So I try to find some middle ground as best I can, and there's no wrong or right way to do this, but I just feel like if I can stay real about issues when there are issues, but also be excited when I want to be excited, that's helped sort of temper things for me and not go to a dark place right away. Because that's what's comfortable, I think, for a lot of Minnesotans to go to that, oh, I knew it. Because that's what we're so used to, and we feed on it, and then it makes us like bond together when we say things like that. But I really want us to try to get past that if we can, and just really, I don't know, be in a more moderate place, if that makes sense.
Yes, moderate is the key. I tend to be accused to be like too moderate. I am one of those flatline people. Like, huh, okay, we'll see what he does there. I look at the stats. I say, okay, he probably had a bad game. Sam Darnold, how bad is he limping around? Everyone's banged up at this time. I don't do the highs lows. Like, it's over, it's done.
Yeah.
So, and I've had talk a few of my friends that are fans and not in the business I'm in off the ledge already. So, like, listen, they're going to the playoffs. They're still going to the playoffs. Don't write them off yet. That's kind of the thing that we have to warn people about.
Right. And it's hard because there's so much emotion involved, and there's a lot of nostalgia, and a lot of us grew up watching these games with our dads or families, and so there's a lot of emotion wrapped up in it, and that's where I have to kind of just check myself. And I literally I said, all week I didn't really watch much. I didn't really take in a whole lot of the hype, and then game day, I don't know, I just had this weird gut feeling. And sometimes I play a mind game with myself where I'm like, oh, well, I bet we're going to lose. Just so I feel like, okay, no, for sure we're going to win because I said we're going to lose. And it's this weird thing that I do, but I actually went into Sunday's game actually like saying that in my head, and then kind of like really having a sinking feeling like, no, we might actually lose. So, you play all these games, but like I said, at the end of the day, it's just, it's trying to, I don't know. I don't have the best advice. Like, honestly, you do you, as far as being a fan. But I think I would encourage people to like not fall back into the old, like, oh, it's what it's like being a Vikings fan. Because there's a lot of teams that have not ever, won a Super Bowl or gotten close. Or so we're not special in that way. I know we want to believe we are, but we're not. So, you know,
Well, let me
just
ask you
keeping it
this
real, Dawn.
too. Yeah, you're keeping it real. It's like, I always say I'm not being pessimistic. I'm like, we're starting the playoffs. Everyone you press the button. There's all these clean slates and anything can happen. You just don't know. But as an aside, he's not even on the Vikings anymore. I was following this weekend from Detroit your tweets. I didn't even know that Parker Romo was supposed to receive a box of stuff from the Vikings. And you said, we're digging into it. This is an investigation. What is going on? What is this?
I don't know. And I wish that I was a better investigator or had more time to do it. All I know is I see him tweeting, and he said something like, hey, FedEx, please help. I was supposed to receive this box with Vikings gear, a game ball, my helmet, all of the uniform, everything like that. But it's lost, and it shows the tracking. And I think it was somewhere in Kansas City on December 11th. And so that's where the trail ends, and it just goes cold. So we do the streaming show every day at noon live. And so I said, we're on it, Parker. We're going to talk about this so that we can get the word out, because, we need to find this for him. It's something that precious. You can't replicate a game ball. I mean, it's heartbreaking to think about that. So, but I honestly, people have been writing about it the last couple of days, and as far as I know, there's still no progress. So I think it's going to be one of those fluky. It might turn up somewhere. But oh, it's heartbreaking to hear about that.
I know.
Well, I know you have to go, but I really also want to have you on the show. You just touched on it there, but can you tell people where they can find this new show that we have on Fox 9 Digital, the All Day, that you are the superstar? I love that show. I love being on it. So if you could tell us
Well,
more,
we
that'd
love
be
having
awesome.
you on. Yeah, because it's more casual. It's like news, but it's like NPR where you can kind of have more in-depth interviews and talk about things, but it's sticky content and we have some fun too. And so there's so many options for people for news. And I'm not here to raise my hand and say we've got the best thing for you, but I enjoy it a lot because we feel like we've got you covered. If there's breaking news, we're on it. You know, that snow day last month, we were nonstop wall to wall, just going around to Karen down in Belle Plaine or Rob out and whatever. And it's just kind of taking you wherever the news takes you. And so it's loose, it's free, it's casual, and it's just, I don't know, I'm having a ton of fun with it. So every day at noon, we stream it on Fox Local, on the app, and on the .com. So yeah,
I love
good
it.
time.
I learned that there's those Scotchables. What was that treat that you had
Scotcharoos.
to try?
You tried the Scotcharoos for
I
the
tried a
first time. It
Scotcharoo
was
on the show.
amazing.
I feel like
it
a
was
true
amazing,
Minnesotan now.
Dawn. Yes, you didn't know what it was. I was so proud. That was a great moment. So thanks for being
Amy Hockert,
good sport.
Amy, I just adore you. Thank you, and I know that you're in between a million things right now, but I always
My
like
husband
to get
just
your
had
pulse.
surgery, so I'm pulling up to pick him up right now, and he's like all drugged up, and he's going to be coming out, and I'm like, I just got to do this
put
one Zoom
him
call,
on,
honey.
yeah.
You'll be fine. The nurse is going to wheel him out, and so yeah, I got to go get him at the curb right now. I see him over there. So,
Awesome.
but
All right.
great to talk with you.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you. Don't give up,
Thanks,
Amy.
Jim. Good to talk to you guys. I'm not giving up, man. It's all good. All right, you guys take care.
Thanks.
Bye.
Okay, bye.